He rose again on the third day. The resurrection is everything. It's the center of our faith as Christians. By its light shining backwards in time, we have come to know the truth of the statements we have been committing ourselves to all through the Creed. To take one example, we know and proclaim Jesus as the Son of God, not because of Peter's flash of inspiration, but through the light of the resurrection. The resurrection is the way things are from now on. Its light shines forward as well as backward. God the Son made himself at one with us at the incarnation, and he committed himself to whatever might happen as a result, even up to crucifixion and death. But being at one cannot be undone, and it works both ways. If the Son handcuffed himself to us, we are handcuffed to him. The bond that dragged him through the length and depth of the human experience will drag us one day into heaven. To be a Christian is to believe in the resurrection. Not to believe in the resurrection is not to be a Christian. There is no comfortable halfway state. If we ever had solid historical proof that Jesus not only died and was buried, but also stayed dead and stayed buried, then the resurrection would be false, and the whole of Christianity would be a fake. If we still found a way of believing in the existence of a personal God at all, which is unlikely, it would not be a loving God, but a malicious God who delights in shams and deceits. Not our Father, but the father of lies. Believing in the resurrection is a belief that depends on a particular historical fact. And like any scientific belief, it can be disproved. It is far, far safer to live in compromise and calm. It's far safer to make "he rose again" not an act of commitment to a truth, but just a cliche with no real meaning. Blessed are they who do not believe in anything very much, for they can never be disillusioned. There is nowhere in Scripture where we get a description of Christ actually rising from the dead. Instead, what we get is a collection of episodes illustrating people who discover that Jesus is alive. There are no witnesses to his rising, but there are many who experienced his living physical presence after he had risen. The witnesses do not completely agree. Their stories tell us of their experience of meeting the risen Lord from different points of view. They are not always entirely coherent, and that's exactly as it should be. If you have a brother or a sister with whom you share memories and keep them alive, it can easily happen that you find yourselves remembering something important that was said in a conversation, but disagreeing totally about which of you said it. That does not mean that the thing was not said or the conversation did not happen. In fact, criminal investigators say that if two witnesses give exactly the same description of an incident, that means they're probably both lying. Inconsistency is a guarantee of authenticity. The friends of Jesus had no doubt that he had risen from the dead, and they were prepared to die rather than deny their own experience of the risen Lord. But having accepted the raw fact that Jesus had risen, it took the early Christians some time to reflect and to come to understand exactly what it was that had happened and what it all meant. That too is perfectly normal human behavior. First, you establish the fact of an event, and then you sit down to try to make sense of it. In this case, there was an awful lot to make sense of. And that is what I will try to do in the next talk.